Yes, guys, welcome back to episode 18 of the Blue Balls podcast. The penultimate episode before the start of the Premier League season. Pre-season is over. Probably one of the best pre-seasons I've seen in recent memory, but we will delve into that and all the latest transfer news as well. It is another week without Caicedo, but another week closer, hopefully, to Lukaku leaving, God willing. Maybe Juventus is going to be the team to save us. But yeah, we're going to delve into all the latest news topics and discussion points surrounding Chelsea. So stay tuned, hit the like button, subscribe, check out everyone's socials, literally on the bottom of your screens here. And yeah, let's get into it. Fata, how's your week been, my guy? How's it?
Yeah, all good, all good. Apart from the game last night, and also like news hasn't been that promising as of late. We haven't got new sponsors. We haven't got Caicedo. We haven't got rid of our strikers. Our fan base turning into ITKs. It's been going mad for the past few weeks, man.
Yeah,
What is
everyone
an
is
ITK?
getting more
Sorry.
and more frustrated.
What is that?
What was that, Alex?
What is an ITK?
Oh, and in the know.
Oh,
Even
okay.
though it takes a lot of time to believe they actually know anything. But
I've
yeah,
never heard of
everyone
it.
wants to try and be the first to the latest Caicedo update, even though there's been barely any update in the last couple of weeks. It's been the same story for like 2 months straight. Kev, what were you telling me, my guy? You all good?
All good, all good. Just cracking on, man. There's so much different things going on behind the scenes in my little life, my little world in a minute. But still making time to do these fan cams and podcasts, which I enjoy doing. So much to talk about as usual. Every week we're getting linked to a new player. Every week someone's leaving. It's interesting times, and this is what keeps the conversations every week exciting, because there's always something different to talk about. But today hopefully we can talk about what's important, and that's getting the 3 points next week against Liverpool, and that's it really. All the signings and everything else is going around the club at the moment. It's not important. Sponsorships, players coming in, players going out. We need to start the season right. We've got no excuses not to beat Liverpool with the team that we've got. So hopefully we can start the season how we want to go on and start pushing early doors for that top 4 position.
Yeah, it needs to start early, especially the way Liverpool been playing in pre-season. I think we can definitely start on a positive note. Alex, I wanted to come to you last because you said you wanted to get something off your chest about this entire Caicedo situation. So first off, big up, welcome back to the show and everything. Hope everything's well. And what did you want to get off your chest?
Mate, I didn't realise we were getting straight into it. Okay. Basically, I just think that Brian are taking the piss. That's it, really. And I've had conversations with a bunch of fans. I put a poll on the group chat. Is Brighton worth more than 100 million? Would you spend 100 million, right? Or wouldn't you? I just don't see it. I don't think he's worth 100 million today. I don't think he was ever worth 100 million. I don't think the fact that he signed the new deal a few months ago makes him worth 100 million. He's an 80 million pound player at best, and that is still stretching it. We made a great offer, and it was immediately rejected. You can't negotiate with these people. It's like Daniel leaving. Let's not drag ourselves down a path which ultimately isn't going to end up very well for us. Even if we do get Caicedo and we spent 100 million, it's going to affect us in more ways than we can see right now, because it's going to change the perception of the ways other clubs do business with us. So I did a video on this earlier, actually. I'm going to upload it tomorrow. And when we look at Man United, right, they've gone for this Danish player. What's his name?
Højlund.
Whatever his name.
Rasmus Højlund.
So they're saying he's worth 70 million, right? The guy's got fucking 10, 12 league goals.
Less goals than Vlahovic.
It's shit, right? Let's not. It's crap for 70 million. What the? I mean, come on. Look, don't get me wrong. If he turns out to be a great player, fair play. It's a good scouting network. But is it a good scouting network where you're paying 70 million for something you don't even know is going to be any good? I'd say it's great scouting if you get 35 for that, like we did with Jackson. That's good scouting. So if we do put ourselves in a position where we pay that money for Caicedo, every club is going to look to milk us for more money because they know that when we need players, we'll pay the money anyway. The reason Bowley's shouldn't be a part of these negotiations anymore is because the guy couldn't negotiate from a football standpoint. He just caved in. Enzo Fernandez, here you go. Mudryk, 100 million. Okay, fine. We got the players, and they're decent players, but they're not worth 100 million. And it's the same with Caicedo. So how long can we continue to be paying over market price, way over market price for players who are good, but they're not really worth that little bit extra? Because what we're doing is we're kidding ourselves into thinking we have a world-class team just because we got 5-6 players worth 100 million. It's not the case. I'd rather have players like Jackson who we buy on the cheap who become players who are worth 100 million. So I just think that it's risky because it will affect other transfers. Even if we spend that extra 20 million now, how much money in the future is that going to cost us? Because other clubs are going to hold us to ransom knowing that we're going to pay the money. So that's the question I would ask. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to buy him, but I am saying I think it's a bit silly to cave into Brighton when you could get players like Lavia and Alvarez 50% of the price. You could get 2 players for 100 million. At least if one of them flops, you've got another one who can perform. If
Lavia's not Caicedo, unfortunately.
I know what you're saying, Kevin, but at least you have a bit of depth in that sense. And you know that Lavia is still class, right? We've seen he's Prem proven. And to be honest with you, he hasn't done it much longer than Caicedo. And the difference is he's done it in the worst team in the league. So that's respectable. Look, there's always players that you want to develop, and I do agree with what a lot of people say. You need to bring in quality straight away. If you want to win, you need players for the here and now. But I just don't think 100 millions, and I think it's ridiculous. And I think we've been fair. We've offered three, four times,
nearly 5 bids, nearly 5
5
times.
bids. Is it? It's unbelievable.
I totally agree. This is why, like, for the last month or two, I've just sat here saying it'll get done when it gets done. And Chelsea, like, we're still negotiating. We're still front runners. Caicedo still wants to join us. I've just left it in the hands of Bowley and the board. And I haven't complained about anything. Just said, let this ride itself out. Because, number one, we're negotiating to a fair amount. It's Brighton that have changed their stance in the last 6 months, and they're trying to use Declan Rice as the example for it. It's also kind of Caicedo and his agent's faults because they're the ones that took a verbal agreement as gospel and they didn't get it in writing, which is what they should have done. McAllister got to leave for around 35 million because of that. He didn't. Now they've changed it, and the ball's in their court. He's re-signed for 5 years. They can be like this if they want to be, but Chelsea can also sit there and say, we only value him at 80 to 90 million. And if they walk away, I take a look at all of the young players that we've brought in the last 8 to 9 months. I trust that their plan Bs and their plan C alternatives would be good enough if we don't get Caicedo. But my number one stance throughout this entire thing has been make sure this position is filled by the end of the summer. If it's not Caicedo, make sure it's somebody else, but we don't come out of the summer window with a massive hole in our midfield. That's the bigger issue for me. Caicedo, I get it. If you don't want to bid 100 million, go for it. If you bid 100 million, brilliant. It's not my money. I don't think he's that amount, but we need that player. He's going to transform our team. Either way, I get the stance. It's Brighton that have made it difficult for us. So I don't think that's such a wild take. I just think a lot of people have become so impatient over how long the situation is taking. They're now starting to take it out on Bowley and the board. But I get it. You don't want to be bent over.
Personally, I think it's going to happen. I think it's just one of them ones. It's just a matter of time. I think they'll come to some. I think they'll come to an agreement with. I think about 85 million would be an acceptable.
85 plus 5 for me, or 90, because we're like 20 million off valuation. So you've got to try and meet halfway.
In this stage, Mark, you got to think you're talking about potentially one of the best, future best defensive midfielders or ball-winning midfielders in the Prem going forward. So 85 mil is probably just about justifiable playing for a player. But you got to think he's 85 million pound now, but quarter 2-3 seasons is going to be over 100 million pounds. So you're paying for the potential in that. For me personally, we've got to get him at all costs. I don't think there's anyone else that can do a job similar to him. You've got Enzo that can dictate the play, and you've got Caicedo that's going to win the ball and pass it to them kind of players in Kunku and Enzo. So it just makes a brilliant triangle in that midfield. So at all costs, get him. But Alex is right, £100 million is a bit over the budget for a player. But in this day and age, in this transfer market, in this day and age, you've got to be paying that kind of money for that kind of player. So it swings and roundabouts, really, in that sense.
Well, it'd be interesting to see with Liverpool how the negotiation goes with Lavia, because if they manage to get him for less than 50 million, what I'm saying is true, and we should be not using that model because Liverpool don't really spend, but holding firm to the fact that, look, we're willing to negotiate a bit, but we're not going to let other clubs walk all over us. We get you've got a great player, but come on now, let's be real. So I think it'd be interesting if Liverpool get 45 million, 40 million, 42, whatever it is for Lavia, then I don't see any reason why we can't get 80, 85 for Caicedo. And I guess I'll look at it and I'll say it's a good deal considering how tough Brighton are to negotiate with. But yeah, I would have no issue walking away from this knowing that we could spend more money on more players and still get the depth. So yeah, I'm not really worried. I feel like people are more worried than I am. But yeah, we need someone before Liverpool at least. I mean, I know they've got their midfield issues as well, obviously losing Henderson and Fabinho. And they've got McAllister and that guy from Leipzig. I mean, if we just had one more midfielder, we'd be fine. I actually don't think it'll be an issue against Liverpool at the Bridge. I think that we'll have too much for them. But yeah, generally you want a player who's proven. It's a weird one. Like, fucking hell, guys, we talk about this guy every single episode, don't we? So what more can you say about Caicedo? He's a good player. Wants to be here. It's just surprised.
He needs to start forcing it. That's what I think.
But
This guy needs to start skipping training.
Ask yourself a question like, why would you wait for nearly 2 months when we had the whole summer to sort this situation out? Like, the thing is, like, for me, the annoying thing is that why it's very easy for our club to be like, kind of like, why don't we be ruthless when it comes to negotiation like Roman did previously? I'm not trying to be hypocrite. Like, I've been getting criticized a lot about attacking our board the way that we spend on the market and that, but the way that we approach markets sometimes it kind of baffles me. But at the same time, you do want to be like happy to be excited to be part of the project, but at the moment it's just like, where you want to go. Let's say if something goes wrong with the Caicedo, let's say we walk away from Caicedo. If that's happened, what's your backup plan? We've got 10 days left. Surely, like Alex said, you've got to have some sort of a backup.
There's got to be that guy from Ajax, but we got linked with in January. Is it Alvarez? Is it Mexican midfielder?
That's Alvarez.
Yeah, he's one of the replacement alternatives.
We should have just gone through that in the World Cup. But there was him and Amrabat.
Amrabat, he's going to go United.
Yeah.
Our other options are either Lavia, Tyler Adams, who are about to drop a 20 million bid on, and what's his name, Edson Alvarez.
Come on, Lewis. Tyler Adams, man. Are we laughing? Tyler
Adams wouldn't be bad depth. I think it'd be good depth for us.
We don't need depth. We need quality now. We've got enough.
We do need depth. We've lost Kante, we lost Ruben, we've lost Mount, we've lost Kovacic. We need some depth.
We've got enough depth. We need quality. We've got depth there.
We have a lot of questionable depth. Tyler Adams was one of Leeds' best players last season.
That's Leeds, a relegation team.
Lavia,
he's also
they got relegated too.
I mean, to be fair, he's also the US men's captain as well, so he brings something else to the table. When we talk about leaders, I mean,
do you remember how he cooked us in the World Cup?
I didn't watch that
game. Ripped our midfield apart.
You know, he's decent, but when we talk about injury-prone players, he's an injury-prone player.
I agree on that one. Yeah, he's got a couple too many injuries.
Caicedo never hardly picks up a knock. He can play, or he can play 90 minutes twice in a week. Easier that he's a fit lad. So but what I'm trying to get to is we need to be smart. And when it comes to depth, I'd rather not just sign a player which is the same as we've got now. We need someone who's better. Because let's think about it, the players that we've got rid of, Culver, Jorginho, and Kante. We're talking about three seasons ago, world-class midfielders. We've got one potentially world-class midfielder in the team now, and that's Enzo. So we need another one who's got the same potential, as it's just going to be 5 or 6 players of the same kind of quality in the team. We need someone who's a bit higher, and I think Caicedo, Alvarez, Amrabat are that kind of quality. Tyler Adams, I don't think he's that.
I think Adams and another midfielder I'd be fine with. Like, the idea I think is going to be Adams and Caicedo comes in, potentially a striker, and Robert Sanchez, who's already got the here we go today. Which maybe Robert Sanchez, part of the Caicedo money could be being used in that amount, because I know there's another layer to this Caicedo situation, because his former club Independente has a 20% sell-on clause in Brighton's transfer of him, so that also plays a part into why Brighton are asking for so much money too.
Yeah.
So maybe we're using the Sanchez deal to try and maybe put like 10, 15 million extra on that, and then maybe you get Caicedo for like 85, and then everybody's happy.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen, but the quicker the better. What you don't want is him signing the same week as the Liverpool game, because he's not going to be embedded into the philosophy so soon. What we need to be doing is getting him in within the next 40 hours, so he gets at least a full week next week, and then potentially he can start. I think if we sign him up towards the end of next week before the Liverpool game, he's not going to start in it. But end of the day, it's a long season. It's not important anyway. Regardless of him being in the team or not, I think we should definitely beat Liverpool at home. We got to. That's, for me, it's the most important game of the season. So we start right, and we can show these other teams now that this is a new Chelsea. It's not the same Chelsea as last year.
Big statement next week.
If we go and we play as half as bad as we did, or even a quarter of the same level of performance we did last year, teams are not going to take it seriously. But I've got the belief. I think a couple of weeks ago I wasn't too convinced, but I think the positivity around the club now has changed. I think the enthusiasm, the working hard, you can see they want to be there, and I think that's important. I think that's all you need is players that want to play for the badge. And
I think we're going into the Liverpool game as favourites anyway. Though this is like the thing. Even though we had such a bad season, I think we are the favourites to beat Liverpool.
I wouldn't say favourites. I think maybe momentum's a bit more on our side, but I think both teams are coming into this game like a little with questions around them, because with us, people are looking at our team and thinking, what's Mudryk going to do? What's Jackson going to do? There's a lot of question marks there. With Liverpool, it's what are they going to do with their midfield? Are they going to bounce back from last season? The defence, they're conceding like 3-4 goals are friendly. That's why I don't feel like it's going to be one of them 0-0 games. Like, I think it's going to be a high score.
They got a new system as well. They're trying to implement Trent in the DM role now. They got
boys.
I thought it was back to right back.
Come on, guys.
Am I wrong?
No. They play Trent in the middle against Bayern Munich, and apparently they've been.
I wanted Trent up against Mudryk.
Apparently they've been linked with one of the youngsters from Bolton. That's what I heard.
Either way, the only thing I'm seeing from that Liverpool game is in transition, we can catch them. A little Colwell ball over the top. Send either, I was going to say Sterling, whoever you put on the right-hand side in it, or Mudryk.
Mbappe.
Hey, we could dream. Maybe. That link still won't go away.
I read today that he is interested in a year loan before he goes to Real Madrid. Makes perfect sense. We did the same thing with João Felix last year, so why can't we do it with Mbappe?
I hear it, but I just think with that, if you're going to take a year loan and we're not in the Champions League, why haven't you just gone Saudi? Like, that confuses me, because they're going to offer you 700 million. You're not competing in the Champions League either, and then you're still going to go to Madrid in a year's time. If we're that special, fine. I'm not going to ask any questions, but how come you're going to do that for us and not Saudi?
He's done the right thing for his reputation and his career. Wanted to come to the Prem. He's come into the best league. coming to one of the best teams in coming to a great city. I think if you go Saudi Arabia, you're going to look around him and be like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? He's just going to be like a shark within goldfish, isn't he? Like,
No, but he'd still be treated like a king there. He'd be the best in the league by a mile.
Yeah, exactly.
So here, to be honest.
No, the league's stepping up. They've just got Mane last week. They've got Riyad Mahrez last week as well. They've got some decent players going over there now. So it wouldn't be that bad in a sense but we think he's well ahead of that. So for him to make the decision to come to us is the right choice for his reputation. It's just going to look like he's going there for money if he goes to Saudi Arabia, and that's it. He's not going there for the football. If he comes to us, he's coming there to best of his career, best of his reputation, and have a goal in the best league in the world. And we can all say, you know what, you made the right decision there.
If he wants to take up the challenge, brilliant, because that takes us straight up the table just by itself. Mbappe is a game-changing signing. If it happens, right now I still just feel like it's a bit of a pipe dream. Kylian Mbappe, after we finish 12th, that is no one could ever talk about Chelsea's pool if we're able to do that sort of nonsense. But hopefully, if there is another week of Mbappe links, I might start believing a little bit more. But while we touched on it, I do want to go back to it for a little bit, because what are you guys' thoughts on what's his name, Robert Sanchez coming in? 20 million up to 25 million in add-ons. Alex, I want to go to you on this one. What do you feel about Robert Sanchez? And do you think he could become a starter, or this is just going to be a competition move?
No, straight away it's a competition move. And I think that he'll get game time, but it'll just be limited at the beginning of the season. And listen, if Poch likes him, then he'll get the starts. I don't think that Poch is scared to make big decisions, but at the same time, you don't want to mess up the chemistry that you've got with the dressing room. I think Kepa's quite influential in that sense. So look, if Kepa plays well, fair enough. That's what you should do. But if we see mistakes like what we saw against Man City at home and countless others, don't get me wrong, Kepa has good games as well. But if we see that inconsistency, that's where a keeper like Sanchez comes in and gets his shot. Sometimes midway through a season, it's really good to change things up. When Mendy first came in, he made a massive difference for us. So
remember that first cross he caught.
The first what?
The first cross Mendy caught. Like we celebrated it like it was a goal. It was back in lockdown season, but Kepa the season before, I think he went the whole league season without catching a cross. That was a genuine stat. Yeah. So the first Mendy catch in the first game, it was like that João Felix touch against Fulham. It was starving. But I'll be real. If he doesn't take over Kepa, I don't rate him.
What I can say about Sanchez is he's a brilliant shot stopper. Unbelievable shot stopper. And that's one thing Kepa lets Kepa down, shot stopping. He might pull off an occasional blinding save like against Villa, best save of the season last year. But the next game, shotless in the corner, travelling very slow, or knock it into the net. We need a more consistent. For us, I was very worried that we wasn't going to sign a keeper. We need someone who's going to, be a bit more consistent. Kepa's not that guy, isn't he? He lets us down every single week. He's
never been that guy. He's never been that guy.
But also the build up from the back, though. I feel like this is why we keep struggling a lot last season. Is that Kepa is that type of stereotype goalkeeper as a ball playing player. He's not good with the ball, and every time we play from the back, it was kind of like really slow. And we got Sanchez right now. I don't understand why fans keep criticizing about it. Like, even though you see him like 2 years ago, a couple of years ago back, like he was just distribution. I thought he was good, bravery on the ball, area command, positioning as well, good physicality. But I'd rather not engage in signings like these anymore because the recruitment have shown me enough to trust them on this at the same time. I just think with this chance of success that to be that successor like Mendy, I'm not too sure about it, but he'll start over Kepa at some point this season, that's for sure.
Well, his distribution's better than Mendy's. I think we can all agree on that. I think that he wouldn't have played for Potter otherwise. And he's made some top saves. It's just, can you do it week in, week out? So we'll find
and that's
out.
what Kepa's not going to bring us. And it's those games where we're 2-1 up, like against Everton last year. Typical example, 2-1 up at the bridge, we needed the 3 points, and he lets us down. And the game that we could have won got 3 points, we ended up getting 1 point. We just need to keep what's going to keep us in the games at those big moments. And that could be the difference between us finishing 5th or 4th when it comes to the points tally at the end of the season. So, good bit of business getting him in the doors. That's one position that we definitely needed to. It wasn't very important. I think there was other positions on the pitch that we needed to deal with more, but we need a better goalkeeper, and Sanchez is a better goalkeeper than Kepa, undoubtedly. So hopefully,
he had a bit of a downturn, but apparently it was because he lost his goalkeeping coach, and we just signed him. So I get the idea of it. We feel like we can revitalize him. He was one of the best goalkeepers in the world when he had that coach. Maybe we see a completely different Robert Sanchez, and the bar's very low with the goalkeepers with Mendy, with Kepa over the last 12 months. So I'm interested to see how this one comes out. But I feel like this is another shrewd investment from us.
It's just smart, isn't it? I mean, that's. I mean, Father, it was interesting. You were speaking earlier, and you were saying like you don't understand the way we're going about the market. I just think that we've approached it differently to last summer. Last summer was about spend, and this season's about spend smart, right? So even if you are going to spend money, you're going to spend money knowing that even if the player doesn't work out, you'll be able to get a good return on it. Maybe not lose money, or you've got the potential there, right? So, I mean, let me ask you this, Father, because I mean, I'm backtracking a little bit. What don't you like about, or what don't you understand about the way we're?
The thing is, for me, it's like you said spend smart, but at the same time, there's like more calibers out there. Like, why don't we get these nice, lovely top players, even though like, at the reasonable price? It's not about spend. You can spend smart, but at the same time, you need that quality of a player. Look at us, like we're trying to sim for Mike Mignon, we're trying to sim for Onana. Look what happened. Onana's gone to United.
Onana was a mistake, definitely.
I think
they didn't want us though, so I kind of get.
We sim over David Raya as well at one point, but the link was just went to the total blackout. And then there's not a goalkeeper, but I'm not sure. Is it Diogo Costa?
We were linked to Mamadashvili, but never really went anywhere. Onana didn't want us. Mignon didn't want us.
Costa for Porto, I think.
Yeah, Diogo Costa. Yeah, we never really developed too much either.
He's going to cost you 75 to 80 million pounds.
Yeah, but apparently the instalment plan would have been favourable because they've got money problems. But again, we never pursued it.
And we can't complain. Anyone who's complaining right now, give your head a wobble, man.
Like we didn't spend a lot on it.
We had Kepa as our main keeper for next season. Yeah.
I said I didn't mind it for next season, but now we're not. Well, now we're not going to go for a striker without using Lukaku in the deal, and we need a goalkeeper. I won't lie. A few games of pre-season, I've seen all the deficiencies of him again. It's like no, we can't do this for another year. Trying to just defend this crap. There's no point. Spend the last 12 months talking about standards at Chelsea, and we want to try say, let's go with Kepa for another year. No, this guy can't catch.
That's why our fan base keep complaining a lot about raising our standards. We want to be, we're trying to be this high in the level of Man City, but at the same time, we're acting like a mid-table club.
We're starting to move the right way, though. Like the Caicedo situation. If like last year when we went in for Cucurella, Man City came in and said 40 million. That's as much as we value, and we're not going any higher. We come in and say, no, that 40 million, don't worry, we'll pay 60 million. And now they're laughing at us. 65. Now it's the same thing. 65.
Yeah, 65, wasn't it? Sorry, it's 63, 65.
You see, that's why I'm glad we're not letting ourselves get bent over anymore.
The thing I need to factory is right. We cannot go on like with this top 4 club or gonna be challenge runners if we sign in mid-table quality players. We need to go and I don't know why we should be going for the best. We are Chelsea. We should be going for the best. It could be because we're not in the Champions League. There's got to be some reason why we are pulling that and going for. That's probably.
I feel like that is playing a factor. Like we would have walked away from this deal a year ago and just got someone else.
There's no excuses why next season when we are back in the Champions League that we shouldn't be going for Diogo Costas. We should.
I'd say no Europe, and the fact that we've cleared out so much. It's made us just a bit desperate on that part because we need a squad that's ready for next season. We can't have a team that's out of the UCL 2 years in a row. But it's only a little bit. Like with the whole Lukaku Vlahovic situation, which we're going to get into later as well. But we desperately want to get rid of him, but we're not completely desperate to the point where it's like, you give us whatever you want for him and we'll give him to you. No, still evaluation at the end of the day. But yeah, actually, speaking of which, that's the perfect segue, to be honest. Lukaku and Vlahovic. I know we were debating a month and a half ago about the whole, is Jackson a better option for us over Vlahovic? It turns out we might be getting both of them. I think the way this is going to work is Juve would buy Lukaku off us for book value, which would be about 40 million euros. And then we'd have to come back and spend 70 million on Vlahovic. Now, there's been debates about whether that's good for us on the books or not, but I'm going to just try and keep it on the pitch. Do you guys think this is a good move? Do you guys think it's going to block the pathway for Nicholas Jackson after a brilliant preseason and politics might get in the way of it? Kev, you seem like you already got 4 on this, so what are you saying?
Yeah, I said a few weeks ago, Broja is only cover for Jackson at the moment, and for me, he's not an out-and-out striker. So we've got to think of it like this. Jackson picks up an injury, which over the last couple of seasons we've had a lot of. So Jackson's out for 5 to 6 weeks. We've got Broja as your only number 9, and he's not an out-and-out number 9. That's going to cost us points because we're not going to get goals. So if you've got a Vlahovic, a Jackson, and potentially a Broja, you can play left forward, right forward, and attack. Say if Jackson gets injured, you've got Vlahovic. If Vlahovic gets injured, you've got Jackson. And with Chelsea Football Club, we've always had 2, 3, or 4 strikers in the team. So we need that now. Obviously, okay, we haven't got Champions League football, but it doesn't matter. You still need cover. And for me, Broja's coming back from that injury. I don't think he's going to be up for another 2, 3 months. So we do need cover. And it's healthy competition. They're both going to push each other on. For me, Jackson will probably be the starter right now. But that gives Vlahovic the opportunity to push, work hard, and when he gets the opportunity, he scores, comes up with the goods. So it's healthy. But then at the end of the season, we've got 2 strikers that have scored 15 goals each. And we haven't had that in, 5 seasons probably. Mm-hmm. So it makes total sense to... And as much as
take one look at the strikers we've had over the last 6 years.
Just getting Lukaku off the books is the most important thing out of everything. Just having a team that's interested in him and somewhere that he wants to go. It's the match made in heaven. Just get the door done, and that's it. There's no ifs or buts around it. Get the door done. Get Lukaku out. Get another top class striker in, and I'm sure at the end of the season we would have been justifiable that we made the right choice.
Alex, Alex, what's your whole thoughts on the Vlahovic situation? Because to me, I agree with everything that Kev's saying. I think this is brilliant competition, and it's also an easier problem. Like if Vlahovic flops, fine, we've got someone with a bit more resale value and probably a much better attitude than Lukaku has. But what's your thoughts on this situation?
I think it's a good move, but I do worry that if Vlahovic comes in, it's going to affect Jackson. And I think that as a striker, you need a run of games. But I do agree with Kev as well. You've got the Africa Cup of Nations, things like that. And, when you've got players like Jackson leaving, someone's got to cover. I mean, look at Liverpool when they had Mane and Salah going off to the Africa Cup of Nations. You're losing your best players. So we don't want to have that problem. And if we do have that problem, because we will have that problem, we have African players, you need players that are going to be able to cover these. This is only a small example, but I think that Everything will be taken into context, and yeah, you've got to look at the market as well, right? If we've got Vlahovic and Jackson, in my book, that's not too far down from Haaland and Alvarez at Man City. I mean, don't get me wrong, we know Haaland's the best striker, but then you go that level down. There's no reason why Jackson couldn't get as many goals as Alvarez, and I would say the same for Vlahovic. So,
Just to interrupt, on every top 6, top 7 club have got 2 strikers. Tottenham, Kane, Charleston, United, Rashford, and it's Holbier, City, Haaland, the Argentinian like you just mentioned, Arsenal, Jesus, Martinelli. Most of the teams across the board have got 2 strikers. You need 2 strikers. Okay, we've got Brozier, but like I said, he's just come back from an ACL, and I don't think he's an out-and-out number 9 anyway. So,
I don't even think he's fully recovered. He didn't go to preseason.
No, he's not. Nowhere near it. He's 2-3 months off coming back mentally from the injury. So if we've only got Jackson, he knows what's going to happen. It could be 2-3 weeks. He gets a knee injury or a back injury or fight, and he will left with them to get the goals. Sterling up top again. So
no,
there we go.
No.
Vlahovic and Jackson, they're going to push each other on, and it's rotation. It's down to Pochettino to rotate them so they're both getting a crack. And you got to think, if one of them scoring and one of them ain't, that pushes the other one on to come up with the goods, and that's good for us to know that we've got goals. We haven't had the competition in Ireland. We haven't had the competition since Diego Costa that long.
Jackson's value about 40, right? When we bought him.
I don't know his value when we got him, but I guess it would be around what we bought him for.
So at least Vlahovic probably 30 million, even more. And again, the concern is that the salary, like, will the team accept that it's going to be overpaid like Sterling does? Because
how much is Vlahovic on at the moment?
Like, he's on like around 250 to 300, but it will go down if he joins us.
Again, we have that tendency in the past that Chelsea has been this one team dedicated to wiping the payroll and even refuse. For example,
215k.
Exactly. So again, is he going to be like
manageable.
around? So the problem is that you're going to ask is that he would have to accept a considerable salary reduction to suit that new club's policy.
Really?
Let's say if us pays more for him, he runs the risk of that, to be that player.
I don't think that you'll have to take a big pay cut. I think that we can afford 215 grand a week. I don't think that's an issue for us.
The thing is,
I don't know if he would have done enough to be on that amount. I'd lower it a little bit, but incentivize it. I wouldn't lower it too much. Like maybe 190 or something. Given what Chilwell's on,
I'll say 180 to 195 at least.
Yeah, something around that. I don't think around 200. Like, that's too risky because we don't know what he's going to be like at Chelsea. And to be honest, one thing I've seen that is a little bit alarming, but not too alarming for us, is he's got a lot of recurring groin injuries. And apparently he's got this condition called pubalgia or something. It was a reason why he missed a lot of games towards the end of last season, and one of the reasons why PSG pulled out of the deal. So that's a bit concerning. But I also don't think Chelsea are going to be naive enough to take him on if he fails the medical as a result of it.
Well, what I'm getting to is this is the beauty of now having 2 good strikers, because it's no pressure now. We've got 2 top-class strikers. Vlahovic comes in, he plays for 3-4 games, bangs goals. Rest him, bring Jackson in like for like. Jackson gets a run. So even if one of them do pick up an injury, it's like for like. We've had to put up with 2 rubbish strikers for the longest. Nevertheless, 1. So come on, just give us 2, and at least.
So you feel like it's worth overlooking it with the idea that because he has that injury, you can use that as an excuse to not have him start games all the time.
No.
No, but they're going to sell it to him.
That works.
The only reason why he's not going to start games if his Jackson plays better.
You've got to persuade the player to come to the club, and you're not going to say to him, you're going to be a bit part player, are you? So then if he doesn't get played, already you've got an unhappy player in the dressing room. So I think there's a part of it where you got to keep the player happy. I know we all talk about, he should do this and do that.
It's a squad. It's a squad effort.
I know it's a squad effort, Kevin. But how can you persuade someone to come if they know they're not going to be a part of the squad?
The thing is, like, if they're going to do this deal, they have to make it quick. And what's going to happen with Broja in that sense? Like, is he going to be the one that going to be still sacrificed, loaning out? Yeah. Because I don't want Vlahovic to be sitting on the bench, and we don't need that kind of Lukaku environment again. Get any contact with other Chelsea players, and then eventually kind of like, doing that stupid interview again. So
it's down to him. It's down to Vlahovic. End of the day, if he comes in next week, he's coming in late, so he's going to have 2-3 weeks to get up to the speed anyway. But it's no pressure for him to come in, do the training, and just basically embed him in slowly into it. Because we know Jackson's going to hit it running anyway. From what we've seen, Jackson he's going to be the first choice. But when Vlahovic just gets his opportunity, so if he comes on for half an hour, it's up to him. The way he trains, the way he plays, and he comes on, it's down to him. If he sits on the bench, it's through his own back. Because at the end of the day, he's shown me quality from Fiorentina. And back then, when I seen him playing, that he's got the quality to be a world-class striker. So if he comes in, if he fulfills his potential and he does well, he could be our starter. It's not necessarily saying Jackson's career is over, because they both can work with each other. You do need two strikers within.
He did play on the wings as well for Villarreal too.
Jackson
So he's got the technical quality and the PMP that I could see him do that too.
Yeah, he's got it. I have to say, he doesn't look like your average striker. I quite like that. Yeah. There's a lot more to his game than people realise.
Well,
Jen, I don't think I've been this excited for a striker in years. Although I say that, I feel like I'm forgetting the Lukaku hype back in the day.
Again, that behaviour, that type of behaviour, like I don't want this kind of toxicity behaviour like Lukaku when he exposed that interview to the public. Like
Vlahovic wouldn't do that, man. Like,
yeah, he hasn't shown any hints of that.
He's one in a million, man. Lukaku's one in a million. It's the only player in the whole world. Him and Ronaldo got that.
The guy literally said last week, "I will never say Forza Juve," and then 2 days later agreed personal terms with Juventus. So, yeah, he's a different breed, bro. He's a different breed.
I don't think Vlahovic is that kind of guy. If he is, fuck for us in it. But I don't think we'd ever get another player like Lukaku ever. He's just unloyal and just doesn't know what he fucking wants. 1 minute he wants Inter, next minute he's at Juve. Like he baffles me.
It's up to Juve as well, because they're pushing him to move to the Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
Juve's his only way out. If not, he's going to have to accept a year in Saudi. That's why, again, Chelsea don't need to rush with this one, because I don't think Lukaku is going to end up staying at Chelsea. He will be somebody's panic buy, or he will go to Saudi.
Like, yeah, but the thing is, right, he keeps turning Saudi down. Obviously, it looks like they're going to keep offering him deals. I mean, are we talking about different clubs here, or is this Al Hilal just coming back again and again?
No, because the way they come in is usually the Saudi investment fund, or whatever their name is. They come in, and then they choose a club for him to go to, because they want the whole league to look good. So they don't want them all going to one different club and they have one like a monopoly, like the Bundesliga.
So, mate, the Saudi league's weird, man. I don't get. So what? Hang on a second. So you're telling me that, because I'll be honest, I haven't done too much.
Fund comes in and they say to the player, "We want you to play for this club, and we want you to go here."
So the club don't even approach the player.
Not necessarily. That's what it was like with the last 3 players that left us.
What it sounds like is the people at the top who run the league all got links into the clubs. So they all get together in a board meeting and say, okay, we want that player in this league, but he's going to that club in layman's terms. So basically all the teams look good and not just one team, which makes...
One club has Benzema, another one has Mahrez, for example.
Now, the only one that I have to admit is lacking is Al Ittifaq, the one that Steven Gerrard.
I want to go Henderson.
They could have signed anyone, and they signed Jordan Henderson.
700k a week, you know. Fair play to him. I don't know how he's done that, but cool.
Getting someone else, though, some other Prem. Who was it now? Some other Prem player
No, Neves went to
Yeah.
Kante's team, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Al-Ittihad. He went to Al-Ittihad.
No, he went to Ronaldo's. He went to Ronaldo's.
No.
Yeah, Al Nassr.
No. Neves went to Al Hilal, mate.
Al-Hilal. Oh, yeah, Al-Hilal, yeah.
Shit, I don't know.
There's
I
just a
won't
lot
lie.
of owls, mate.
All I know is Kante went to Benzema's one, and like that's it. And there's an Alan Saint-Maximin, Mahrez, and Firmino front three.
That's Al Ali.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you though. I reckon we'll be able to watch a decent amount of these games. Sky or BT or someone or TNT. They're going to get some sort of broadcast deal. You can't not broadcast Saudi after what's happening.
I'm just waiting for one of them to take Hazard. Then I'm actually going to be interested. Until then, it's like cool.
He's going to retire. That's the word on the road.
Still hasn't found a club yet. As much as I'd like to say, do you want to bring him back for 1 year? No, let's leave the door closed.
He's finished.
We already look like we might be having a winger issue because Angelo Gabriel might not even be going on loan, and he looks like he's part of Pochettino's plans.
Is it?
And yeah, that was reported by Nathan Gissing a couple of days ago. Which I mean, he's a quality player. He's got a good eye for a pass. But what do we do then? Because already got Sterling, we've already got Mudryk, Madueke, potentially looking at Nkuku playing off the left, potentially bringing in one of Elise or Kudus as well. Those links are still there. Then you've got Angelo Gabriel in it too. But like, if we have Vlahovic coming, maybe Jackson becomes an option for the wings as well. And we only play 1 game a week. So what is the plan with the wingers? Because I feel like we're going to have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's going to be some players who don't get a lot of game time. That's why it surprised me. Angelo Gabriel to Strasbourg makes a lot of sense.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think that I don't think they're going to back up on that. And I don't think Pochettino can. If you're keeping him, then who are you? Which player are you not giving game time to?
If you found a club for Sterling, fine. Like, I don't care.
Sterling's not going anywhere.
I know.
I think he's got another year left to prove himself. I think.
Same. I'm just running out of patience already with preseason.
This is the thing, though, Lewis. I saw your 5 things video, and I completely agree with you. The Dortmund game was his best game in preseason, and people were still slaying him on Twitter. I think me and you were actually quite lenient on the guy.
It's just because it's like with Havertz last season, where it's like you have a good game, but the bar's so low. It's like, okay, we'll take this one.
Wait,
it's
you
like,
said Dortmund's game was so bad?
Yeah, the Dortmund game, it was his best game in preseason, and it's not saying a lot. But I thought there was good moments. There was good moments.
Them ones, I think, experience. I think in those games against the lower clubs, where we get the most position, we can find a style of football. You want him in the 6-yard box doing what he did best for City, them little tap-ins and whatnot. But he's never ever been that player that's going to carry a team on his back anyway.
I hear that, but he just feels so one-dimensional.
He's overrated. So for me,
he did carry.
You have to ask him a question like, is he fed up a bit with the situation that we have right now?
He's only just got it.
Well, he's a big part of it, so I'd hope not.
I think that's
one of the highest minutes last season.
We all know he's declining. We all know he's declining, but does he have that motivation to be,
of course,
to be good players?
Again, I would hope so. Otherwise, this is a very pointless transfer.
Come on, guys. Come on. Let's not. No, I don't like all this talk about footballers when they're still in their early 20s losing motivation. I think there's a couple that happens, but generally they're all motivated. The truth is, a lot of the time they're just shy, and people think, what's a good excuse, or how can we justify this? Sterling was absolutely terrible last season. He had some good moments, but ultimately, I think he would have had a much better season if Tuchel was still the manager, because we saw what he did at the beginning of the season with Tuchel, and it was pretty good. The team played shite football, but Sterling was getting goals and assists. So we can see that when you build a team around Sterling, the team doesn't look great, but he can score goals and he can be the difference maker. But I don't think Poch is going to do that. I think Poch is a very similar manager in the sense to Sarri. You're going to play my way. If you don't play my way, you're not going to play. I think it's a completely different style of football as well, because everyone talks about this attacking, possession-based style. Obviously, you're going to dominate possession, but it's there's a lot more long balls. I mean, I remember watching Poch's Spurs side. Like, it wasn't my favorite brand of football. It's a good brand of football, but it's not my favorite because there's some players that you need to rely on individual brilliance for. When Thiago Silva chips that long ball for Jackson against Dortmund, it's like there's only so much coaching you can give a player on how to deal with that. You're either good enough or you're not. And when it comes to the final third, the manager just has to say to the players, "Listen, this is what I want you to do," and then leave them to do it. I mean, we saw Mudryk grow into the game against Dortmund. We saw Jackson create chances, and Kunku was fantastic. Sterling was always involved, so that's a positive. I mean, he was never involved last season. When he was
even Gallagher was putting the defensive work in.
100%.
Breaking up play a lot.
Yeah, he looked really good as a pivot. Compared to what we saw against Leeds, for example. Much better. But listen, we're still not saying it's good enough. But I do think that Poch is smart to play Sterling on the right. We've shown that he can't do fuck all on his left, which is really frustrating because that's meant to be his best side. But you've got players like Mudryk and Nkunku who are 10 times better at that anyway. So let's get the best out of those players and worry about the other side. If Sterling doesn't produce the goods, Madueke will get game time. And if what we're saying about Gabriel and what's his name?
Angelo Gabriel, yeah.
Angelo Gabriel. If what we're saying about that's true as well, then all the best to the man. Come get some game time. And if you're going to take it off Sterling, I haven't got a problem with that. But I don't think that will be the case. I think he will go to Strasbourg. We're stuck with Sterling. Same as Kepa. Player underperforms. He's got too much money. And he's got no reason to leave London. His family are here. It's not like Manchester. Literally, if they're, he had one excuse at Man City, and that was the game time. If he doesn't have game time at Chelsea, he's got other positives that he didn't have in Manchester. So I'm not optimistic that we can get rid of him anytime soon. And I don't think anyone would want him, except maybe Saudi. But why would you care about Saudi money when you've been on close to 400 grand a week for God knows how long anyway? It's not a massive deal to him. When you look at Jordan Henderson, his wages will 7-fold up. Sterling, I don't think he's motivated by money. I think he just wants a comfortable life in London, and he's got that. And he signed a good deal, and I guess we just have to take the hit.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but interesting to see who breaks in. I just would really hope we can get a little bit more from Sterling because he's the second most experienced player at the club now.
So what do you think he offers then? Well, obviously we know what he offers, but what do you think we're going to see from him this season? Do you think we're going to see him as a creator or as a goal scorer?
I don't know because he's been so disappointing. Like, the best I've seen from him is like little bits of link-up play, but he's genuinely been top 2 worst players in pre-season. It's saying a lot. Like, with all those...
Sorry, mate. I was going to say, do you know who else has disappointed me? I think Fernandes could have been a lot better in pre-season. I think
he's had the sloppy moments. He's had the sloppy moments.
You know what it is? He hasn't got no one next to him, man.
No, I agree with you, Kev.
That's it. It's just sloppy moments. There's been bad moments. There's been good moments.
Yeah.
He's having to do the whole. Just think about it. Yeah, if you're a smart manager and you're playing against Chelsea, you've got Enzo. He's the only bit of quality that we've got in that midfield that can ping a ball, that can look for a pass over the top, that can his balls from the deep positions into of the pitch into attack. If you isolate that, we've got no one else. We haven't got a Kovacic, we haven't got a Kante that can run with the ball from deep. We've literally got Enzo. So what you probably find now is manager saying, yeah, set up a little trap for Enzo, so it's harder for him to play. If we get someone next to him, it's a bit different now. We've got a bit better options in there. But right now, like I said, with Enzo and Gallagher in the pivot, Gallagher's not got no quality. He likes to press and he can win the ball, but there's got to be more to it than that. You can't.
I just think the hate is false right now. I can't believe some of the fans last night, even after the game, it was like, why? Well, all right, he had a poor game, but at the same time, the hate towards this guy.
Sorry, we're talking about Enzo.
People keep telling us that, oh, he's the most overprotective player. Okay, like you calling us out because of the
No, I know who the most overprotected player is. It ain't him. It ain't him.
I don't even get like the way that people criticize Enzo couple like lately, you know.
Nah, but Father,
He was-
let's not take what I've said out of context. I'm not.
He's not saying you. It's because we were on the watch along yesterday, and Enzo was getting cooked. He was getting cooked.
Enzo was getting. I just don't get that though, Alex. I just don't get.
And like they were overdoing it, not you. Like I think he's had his sloppy moments, but there were people saying Enzo's been horrific. He's been fucking terrible. All of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's like there's bad and there's good.
Enzo is one of them players. Well, we all know he's going to come good. He's potentially going to be one of the probably the best things since we've had since Fabregas in that deep line playmaker role. But we've got to have someone next to him. Like Fabregas, when he was in his prime, I can't say next to him. You need someone who can break up the play, do all the dirty work, so Enzo can just roam around, pick his passes, get his assists. Right now, there's too much emphasis on him. He's deep line. He wants to break up the play. He's doing too much. Just let him do what he does best, and let someone else do what they do best, and then we can start.
It's also because he has to be the experienced head in that midfield, and he's not really. That's why we gotta get the Caicedo deal in soon. But I wouldn't say he's the most overprotected. To me, respectfully, Ben Chilwell. Sorry, respectfully, that guy's been one of the most disappointing guys in preseason and last season too. But
I wouldn't say in preseason.
I know. Oh yeah, he has. Like going forward, like some of the crossing's been good and everything. The guy gets beaten.
Inconsistent, Alex. It's been inconsistent.
When I've seen Wrexham attackers dupping you for fun and like they're using you as the press trigger, it's like, come on. Like, I don't think he's a Mount or Havertz. I don't think he's a rat. I actually think he's one of the loyal players. That's why I don't even like talking about him like this. But defensively, the guy is scary, bro. And it's fine when you're playing a back five and he can roam forward all he wants and you've got other players at the back. When you're playing a back four, even if you're an attacking fullback, you got to be able to defend first. And from everything I've seen, he can't do that. He's like another left winger. And that's the guy to me I think is too overprotected personally. Hopefully, he gets that side of his game back, but it's not looked good. It's not looked good.
I get you.
Again, we just need to sort this deal out because some people are gonna get overly hate towards him just purely.
Which one, the Caicedo one?
Yeah, Caicedo. They just need to sort this deal out like ASAP, you know, so that
look how long have we been saying that?
On. It's just like it's just too much of chaos from the Chelsea fan base. Like on one week you get angry Chelsea fans on these kind of platforms, and then on the other week there's Chelsea fans on the social media, Twitter Spaces these days. That's why we do need some clarity on our club. Like, when can we get this deal down and then be prepared for the next week's game?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week, innit? But I feel like when we run episode 19, we're going to be back here on the same topic with Caicedo.
And hopefully,
God willing.
On a bonus note as well, good luck to Emma Hayes for Saturday's game against Arsene Wenger for the game for Ukraine. Good luck to her, though.
Oh, yeah. Let's give Arsene Wenger one more L at the bridge just for the culture. Guys, it's been a brilliant episode of the Blue Balls podcast again. Let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button as well to know the next time the Blue Balls podcast drops. And yeah, we'll see you guys for the next episode. Big up everybody. Like, subscribe, up the channel.